I was in Germany, I got off the railroad station I was waiting at the railroad station, and off the train came hundreds of Muslims from North Africa and the Middle East. These were these unwanted migrants. And they saw me standing there, and they came up, and one of them asked me in English where this and this was, and I directed them. And I got out to this town that I had lived in Bavaria. I lived there for a total of 6 years on 2 3-year tours. And it was a beautiful little town, and suddenly it's become 20 to 30% Turkish. And you can imagine the Bavarians are not very happy. When I lived there, there was no crime. When I lived there, nobody really had to lock their doors. You could walk anywhere you wanted at any time of night. Children, grown-ups, anything. Well, that's gone. It doesn't exist anymore. I mean, I think that's the problem. It's not that you have an overwhelming majority. See, in this country, when you go into the cities, you're looking at a demographic change that is flood. Dimensionally, it's like a flood. There's almost nobody there anymore who was there. Now, my mother's family had been in Philadelphia since 1681. I'll never go back to Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a war zone. Once you get past downtown and the historical monuments, it's a catastrophe. Well, what's the demographic change? Well, it's no longer a white city. These things have changed. Now, we can all sit around and say, well, that's very racist. I think that's unkind. Well, my own view is you haven't had to live in it as I have. You haven't had to live through it as many of us have. So you can stuff this where the sun doesn't shine. You get my meaning. The truth is, this is a disaster. It's not working. And, when I was a cadet at West Point, it was a block of instruction that they gave us that I'll never forget. And it was a discussion of the campaign in 1866 between Prussia, Germany, and Austria-Hungary. And one of the things that was pointed out is that the Austro-Hungarian army, which was not a bad army, it was reasonably well armed, and they had some good officers. But the Austro-Hungarian army was an army where only about 30 to 40% of the soldiers could speak German. And most of them were officers. And that meant that the rest of the army was international. And the joke in Austria always was that by the end of the day, other than the Austrians that were still fighting, the only people that were with them were the Croats. Everybody else left. Well, if you go to the German side, the German army was 95% German. Did that make a difference? Hell yes, it made a difference. They were infinitely more effective than their Austrian counterparts. There were no communications problems. You had a cultural homogeneity. People understood what was expected. And that was presented to me as a cadet at West Point. And of course, then they went on to what I just said to you about Normandy. In other words, we understood that military power rests on a foundation of this human homogeneity, where there is a cultural understanding and a capability to cooperate and work together. As you diminish what I would call the majority until it becomes a minority, that's lost. And of course, that's what happened in Austria-Hungary. And Austria-Hungary no longer exists.